Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and we cannot do it without your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. This is even better than we thought, folks. We're not just talking about one massive development in Blue Jays land today. We're talking about a full-blown off-season explosion with multiple storylines converging at the exact same time. The Toronto Blue Jays are suddenly active on not one but two major free agent fronts following a blockbuster new report from insider Jon Heyman. On top of that, the team just made a sneaky signing that absolutely nobody is talking about but should be. And if that wasn't enough drama for one day, we've got arbitration warfare brewing that could impact everything else the front office is trying to accomplish. This is the kind of action-packed baseball chaos that makes February almost as exciting as October. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button right now because you're going to want to follow every twist and turn of this story, and let's dive headfirst into the madness. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Before we get into the absolute avalanche of news coming out of Toronto, I need to give a massive shout out to all of you for the incredible support. You guys have been absolute beasts with the likes, comments, and subscriptions. It means everything and it's what keeps this channel bringing you the deep analysis and breaking news you can't get anywhere else. Now, let's talk about what's happening right now because the Blue Jays are making moves and the baseball world is starting to pay serious attention. Let's start with the earthquake that Jon Heyman just dropped on the baseball world. According to Heyman's latest reporting, the Blue Jays are being described as one of the big winners of this offseason, and they're doing absolutely everything they can to get back to the World Series. Here's where it gets juicy. The Jays made a late, aggressive run at left-handed starter Framber Valdez before he ultimately signed with the Detroit Tigers on that 3-year, $45 million deal. The fact that Toronto was seriously pursuing Valdez tells you everything you need to know about their current mindset. They're not satisfied. They're not sitting back and hoping the current roster is good enough. They want proven, elite arms who can dominate at the highest level. But with Valdez off the board, Heyman is now connecting the Blue Jays to two absolutely fascinating names: Max Scherzer and Zac Gallen. And folks, these are wildly different players who would address completely different needs for this organization. Let's break down both of these potential acquisitions because the implications are enormous. First, we've got Mad Max Scherzer himself. The three-time Cy Young Award winner, the future first-ballot Hall of Famer, the absolute maniac competitor who at nearly 40 years old still has that fire burning. Now, I know what half of you are thinking right now. Max Scherzer? The guy who's dealt with injury after injury over the past couple seasons? The guy who's going to be 40 years old? Why on earth would the Blue Jays be interested in him? And look, those are completely fair questions. But here's the answer that makes this pursuit make total sense. The Blue Jays aren't looking at Scherzer as their number one ace who's going to throw 200 innings and carry the rotation. That ship has sailed. What they're looking at is a veteran leader who can mentor a young, talented but sometimes inconsistent pitching staff while still contributing meaningful innings when healthy. Think about what Scherzer brings beyond just his on-field performance. This is a guy who has won at the absolute highest level. He's pitched in World Series games. He's dominated playoff atmospheres. He knows how to prepare, how to study hitters, how to attack the strike zone with confidence and aggression. For young arms like Bowden Francis, like Yoriel Rodriguez, like Ricky Tiedemann when he gets healthy, having Max Scherzer in the clubhouse could be absolutely transformative. He's essentially a player-coach hybrid. Someone who can contribute on the mound when called upon but provides immeasurable value in the dugout and in preparation sessions. The Blue Jays have a ton of talented young pitchers who could benefit enormously from that kind of mentorship, and that's what makes this pursuit so intriguing. Then we've got Zac Gallen, and this is where the risk-reward calculation gets really interesting. Gallen is 29 years old, so he's right in what should be the prime years of his career. And yes, let's address the elephant in the room immediately. He had a brutal season last year with Arizona. A 4.83 ERA over 33 starts is not what anyone wants to see from their starter. Those numbers are rough, no question about it. But here's where smart front offices separate themselves from the pack. You have to look beyond one bad season and evaluate the entire body of work. The 2 seasons before that disaster year, Zac Gallen was absolutely lights out. We're talking eras below 3.7 in consecutive seasons. This is a guy who has shown he can be a legitimate front-of-the-rotation starter when everything is clicking. He's got a 6-pitch mix, which gives him multiple ways to attack hitters and keep them off balance. And even in his down year last year, he still made 33 starts. He gave his team innings. He kept them in games even when he wasn't at his best. That's the definition of an innings eater, and innings eaters have enormous value in today's game where so many pitchers are on pitch counts and innings limits. This is a classic buy low opportunity. Gallen is coming off a bad year, which means his price tag in free agency is going to be significantly lower than it would have been if he duplicated his previous success. The Blue Jays would be betting that their elite pitching development staff, led by the legendary Pete Walker, can identify what went wrong mechanically last year and fix it. If they can get Gallen back to even 75% of his 2022 and 2023 form, you're talking about an absolute steal. A guy who was a borderline ace just 2 years ago, suddenly available at a discount because of one rough season. That's the kind of calculated risk that championship organizations take. Now, some of you are probably screaming at your screens right now saying the Blue Jays already have too many starting pitchers. How does Gallen even fit into this rotation? And that's where we need to talk about the reality of the current roster situation, because it's way more uncertain than most fans want to admit. Let's go through it position by position in the rotation. Shane Bieber, your big offseason acquisition, might not even be ready for opening day. He's coming off significant arm issues and nobody knows what version of Bieber you're getting when he does finally take the mound. Kevin Gausman and Bowden Francis, those are your reliable guys. After that? Question marks everywhere. Jose Berrios, there are persistent rumors about his happiness with the organization and whether he might be trade bait. Is he going to get moved before the season starts? Yoriel Rodriguez is talented but completely unproven at the major league level. Ricky Tiedemann has barely thrown professional innings. Trey Savage, how many innings do you realistically want from a young arm in his first full season? The only truly reliable starters you have right now are Gausman and Francis. That's 2 guys. You need at least 5, and ideally you want 6 or 7 quality options because injuries always happen over 162 games. This is exactly why the Gallen pursuit makes so much sense even if it's not the sexy, headline-grabbing move. You need proven starters who can give you 180 to 200 quality innings. Gallen has demonstrated he can do exactly that. And if Pete Walker and the pitching development staff can work their magic and fix whatever mechanical issues led to last year's struggles, you could have a legitimate number 2 or 3 starter at a fraction of what he would have cost in his prime. Now, while everyone's been focused on these big free agent pursuits, something flew completely under the radar that actually deserves way more attention. The Blue Jays quietly signed left-handed pitcher Josh Fleming to a minor league deal with an invitation to Major League spring training. Fleming is 29 years old and spent all of last year grinding in AAA with the Seattle Mariners organization, where he posted a 4.91 ERA over 84 innings. He last pitched in the majors with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2024, where he had a 4.02 ERA. Now I know what you're thinking. A 29-year-old lefty who spent last year in AAA? How is this noteworthy? Here's why it matters. Fleming actually had really impressive advanced analytics in 2024 despite not pitching at the major league level last year. The underlying numbers suggested he was pitching better than his surface stats indicated. He's got a 4-pitch mix with a sinker, changeup, cutter, and curveball. He's not a flamethrower at just 90 miles per hour, but he doesn't need to be. He's crafty, changes speeds well, and can get outs. More importantly, this signing addresses a genuine roster need. Look at the current bullpen construction. Brendan Little and Mason Fluharty, those are your only 2 left-handed relievers with any kind of major league track record. That's it. In today's game where matchups are crucial and having multiple left-handed options is almost mandatory, having only 2 guys is a serious vulnerability. Fleming gives them another body, another option, another arm to compete in spring training. And we've seen this story before with the Blue Jays, haven't we? Remember when they signed Brendan Little and nobody thought anything of it? Remember Mason Fluharty? These were guys who struggled with other organizations, came to Toronto, and Pete Walker worked his magic. I'm not saying Fleming is going to be the next great Blue Jays reliever, but it's a zero-risk move that could pay real dividends. Now let's talk about the Eric Lauer arbitration situation, because this is actually way more significant than people realize. Lauer had his arbitration hearing on Tuesday, and the decision is expected sometime next week. The Blue Jays filed at $4.4 million. Lauer and his camp filed at $5.75 million. That's a difference of $1.35 million, which might not sound like much in the grand scheme of baseball salaries, but here's why it actually matters enormously. The Blue Jays are clearly operating with some kind of budget constraint. If they are forced to pay Lauer $5.75 million instead of $4.4 million, that's money that comes directly out of their available spending for other moves. When you're trying to sign guys like Max Scherzer or make competitive offers for Zac Gallen, every single dollar counts. That extra million could literally be the difference between landing your target or losing out. There's also a philosophical question here. Lauer is coming off a career year in Korea where he dominated, and he clearly believes he's worth top dollar. But the Blue Jays have a rotation that's suddenly very crowded if everyone is healthy. Do they really want to commit $5.75 million to a guy who might be their 6th or 7th starter? These are the difficult decisions front offices have to make. So here's where we stand. The Blue Jays are actively pursuing multiple avenues to improve this roster before spring training. The Max Scherzer pursuit makes sense for veteran leadership. The Zac Gallen interest makes sense as a high-upside reclamation project. The Josh Fleming signing addresses bullpen depth. And the Eric Lauer arbitration could impact how much money is available for everything else. This offseason is far from over, folks. Things are happening. The Blue Jays are not sitting idle. So here's what I need from you. Smash that like button if you're hyped about Toronto still being aggressive. Drop a comment telling me which move you want most. Team Scherzer? Team Gallen? And subscribe with notifications on, because we're covering every development as it happens. Let's go Blue Jays!